stars seem aligned for Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna Watenya. But for how long will they remain the same? Of course, Edwin Sifuna makes for a person of interest on this particular edition, an interesting and informative one of Siasa Brigade, the second one for this particular year of our Lord, that is 2023. Such a pleasure and indeed an honor to have you on board yet again. My name is Richard Mwanjam, and with me is the only name in public policy analysis and political analysis, Herman Manyora. Great to see you, sir. Never aging.
Never.
Like fine wine, you say?
Oh, never.
All right. Let's talk matters politics in this country, and particularly that touches on the political life of Edwin Sifuna. He's been the talk of town over his recent spat with the DP, Gachagua, going out, doing a press statement, calling out Gachagua as a national nuisance. For every political person in this particular country, they will wish to be in the good graces of the sitting administration. But once you term the DP as a national nuisance, don't you think this is actually enough danger and it portends harm for Sifuna's political image and actually future?
You know, there's a beauty with the choice of words and how you use language. So I admire Sifuna's way of using language.
Come on, really?
And you know, he has everybody talking, which means he's good with language. His choice of words and phrases, and so he's just a good young man with language.
Is that how one can address the sitting DP?
You know, Sifuna has his own way of handling matters. He's young, you know.
I know.
He's abrasive, he's sharp, and then you can't just ask him to change his way. That is his way.
But then again, this particular language...
There are people who say worse things, and indeed there are people who have said worse things, using crude language. But he has put it using very refined, catchy language.
But is this the same kind of diction that landed the former organizing secretary, one-time Secretary General of ODM, Ababu Namwamba, into political cold? You remember him going so harsh on the then sitting administration. We saw him fed out of the political favor of his then political affiliation and also the government of the day back then. Don't you think this is the same fate that could actually go the way of Edwin Sifuna?
I don't think Ababu Namwamba fell out of political limelight. I mean, I don't think his stars went down or dimmed because he was fighting government. I think Sifuna lost it when he fought his own party. When he fought Raila Odinga, Ababu Namwamba had been picked from nowhere by Raila Odinga. He may wish to say no. Became an MP at a young age, very youthful. Of course, partly because of his own efforts. He got leadership of the party parliamentary accounts committee, which I think he misused in a way. He became a cabinet secretary, minister at that age. He rose to become secretary general of such a huge party. And then he turned against his party and his party leader. So that's what brought him down. That's what he's still paying for up to now.
I see.
But for Sifuna has not fought his party. Sifuna is just aggressive. I too have had issues with him. Sometimes I've felt he was pushing too hard. Sometimes I felt the party required a more sober secretary general. Of course, looking back, I was wrong in some of those things. So that is Sifuna. You can't, I mean, how do you fault him?
I see.
He just has his way of putting things. Many people have talked about Gachagua and his language. Most of them are put it so crudely. But him is putting it in a very refined way.
Very well. If you're still talking about those abrasive minds in the current political landscape,
yes,
particularly in the Azimio One Kenya coalition government, we have seen a very good duo that is Ledamo Lekina, Babu Owino, and topping up to be the third one is Edwin Sifuna. If you are looking at the succession matrix they are in terms of that person to succeed Raila Odinga, their leader in there, out of the three, the young brilliant minds they are in, who probably have the gravitas and authority to speak,
Babu Owino,
Ledamo Lekina and Sifuna, Who among the three do you think has a competitive edge over the rest? Many think Sifuna is that person. Do you resonate with their views?
You know, it's not that simple. These people are different, appeal to different constituents. Outright, Sifuna is showing that he's a head and shoulder above these others you are mentioning. But you see, Kenyan politics is not just about how well you can speak, how abrasive and aggressive you can be, how bold you can be, how good you are at debating. It's also about where you come from. It's about your tribe. It's about your political muscle in terms of even money. So there are so many factors involved. And you cannot outright say it will be Babu Owino or Sifuna. And who tells you there's space to be occupied by a successor? There may be no space to be occupied by a successor. In any case, power is not given.
It's taken?
It's not for Manyora to sit here and say, Olekina will succeed. No.
Junet might be there.
Yeah, you fight for it. You'll find Junet amekaa kwa hiyo kiti. Unajaribu kumtoa na kupiga teke unaanguka chini.
And that's it.
Yeah. Or you can get, Winnie has come back. If Raila is not there, Winnie can come so aggressively and he knocks down everybody. Orengo can enter the ring, say, I'm not as old as you might think. You know, Joho is there. Oparanya is there. There are many people who can go for succession if and when it becomes vacant.
I see.
For now, Raila is still firmly in charge. Yeah.
For those who are particularly speculating of a potential firebrand in matters kingpinship of the Western politics, they have seen and pinpointed Governor Natembeya of Trans Nzoia County and Edwin Sifuna as probably those who are going to be the face of Luhya politics in the near future.
Yes.
Actually within the range of probably the next 10 years. From where you sit as your footnote, do you think Natembeya and Edwin Sifuna are actually, as you said, shoulder above the rest when it comes to Western politics?
First of all, both of them come from the populous Luhya group, the Pukusu, the most populous. That's a plus for them. Secondly, the Pukusu are more combative, more politically conscious than, say, the second populace, who are the Maragoli. So that's another plus for them. But you see, it's not that simple. Natembeya came with a lot of hope. But from what I gather is, he's becoming ash. The fire has become ash. Because he's taking the administration approach to politics and almost becoming unpopular in Trans Nzoia. Here was a shining star, is allowing itself to dim. So I don't think Natembeya will go far. In my opinion, my thinking was that Natembeya was the man Western was waiting for. But the few months he has been in office has made me change my mind. So that leaves you with people like Sifuna. The problem with the politics in this country, and it may be so for a long time, because also an international issue, it's not about Kenya. The politics of this country demand that you have resources. It's not enough to come from a major tribe or a major sub-tribe or to be the most serious politician, the best gifted speaker, the most abrasive.
Or head of a political party.
Yeah, or head of a political party, secretary general, a big political. It's also a question of resources. So, I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever. If somebody like Sifuna had resources, it would be very difficult to challenge him on the Luhya leadership in the coming few years.
He could actually have taken.
Because look at this way. The people who are currently assumed to be at top of the community are self-cannibalizing. Wetangula and Mudavadi will self-cannibalize. Secondly, Ruto has played this game in such a way they will end up destroying themselves in this Kenya Kwanza arrangement. Because if you are Mudavadi and you are... Because there's no way Ruto is going to betray Rigathi Gachagua. So if Ruto goes with Rigathi Gachagua in 2027, where does that leave Wetangula and Mudavadi? Mudavadi will be 70-something years in a world that will have changed. You can imagine the world today 10 years.
Dynamics.
The dynamics. The new world order. To play in that league, if you are Mudavadi, yeah, you'll be a very tough man. And I don't think it's that tough. So those ones are already walking out of the political scene. Oparanya should find space within Azimio. But my honest assessment of Oparanya, he doesn't seem to have what it takes to fight within the political space that is Azimio.
I see.
Because you need to be aggressive. You need to be a man of means, and not just be a man of means. You must also be seen to be able to move, to make those resources. Those resources should enable you to move. But when you look at Oparanya, it's clumsy, it's not moving. And I would suggest, I would believe he has a few resources, yeah, to his name. But you don't see that. You don't see him moving. He's clumsy and heavy. Resources make you lighter, less clumsy, more interactive. You know?
To liken him to Gideon Moi.
Gideon Moi is just another one. That one is, forget about him. That one is now in another class of people who have been given everything, but they have squandered it.
Okay.
So that leaves people like Sifuna in Western Kenya with a very good chance to become the leaders of that community.
I see.
Now, finally, if you are approaching leadership from Nairobi, if you can manage Nairobi the way Sakaja and Sifuna have managed, then Western Province can just fall in line.
It can be a walk of...
Ah, yes, yes. Operating from the towers of Nairobi, looking down in Bungoma, those village politicians can be no much to Sifuna and Sakaja.
Likes of Malala.
Yeah, they cannot. The Malalas are village bulls. They cannot come and perform in Nairobi.
We have the real bullfighter, Boni Khalwale.
Those are the bullfighters in the village. Because now, Sakaja and Sifuna are at a national level. And that level of sophistication is like a sophisticated businessman in Nairobi trying to open a branch in Bungoma. Everybody will close. If he takes the aggression of Nairobi to Bungoma in a particular industry, those in that industry will have to kneel down for him. Temze Rudi Nairobi, he will finish us.
Before we actually close page on this particular edition,
yes,
you and I agree that actually power is fluid. Yes. And over the changing fortunes of time, we've seen some benefiting, some losing out on it. There are those who believe that Edwin Sifuna is probably going hard-hitting on the current DP because he enjoys the immunity of Raila Odinga as the Secretary General and probably his blue-eyed boy in Azimio politics. Probably when Raila Odinga will not be there, probably in retirement or probably is just not in the picture. Do you think that is a factor that Edwin Sifuna should consider and actually guide his sentiments, his choice of language, his political moves this early?
I don't think Sifuna has gone out to insult anybody. I don't think Sifuna has behaved irrationally. He's just making an assessment of the conduct of the deputy president and making observations using the language he knows. So he doesn't need to be apprehensive. He doesn't need to bother about anything. He doesn't need to fear anything. In fact, if Sifuna happened on Rigathi Gachagua the Serena, they will sit on the same table and have tea.
But should Raila actually fade away from the picture as it stands right now? Do you think Edwin Sifuna, the man that he is right now, will still hold the ground?
He will hold ground to the extent of the dynamics. Because supposing Raila says he is no longer interested in politics, you expect people to fight for that space. And how Sifuna fits in the fight is something I cannot just
pinpoint from the
say now it will go this way. It's because it's difficult. It depends on how fierce the fight will be. It depends on how many dogs will be in the fight. And whether there is a fight in the dog called Sifuna.
Or just a toothless dog there.
Yeah, these are not things you can say, you know. I laugh when people say that Ruto will just win 2027. Politics doesn't work like that. Never.
It's not the outright win?
No, politics has never been like that. Never. Politics has never. When Uhuru went into handshake with Raila, we knew it was gone for Ruto. We all knew it was... Raila was just waiting for time to become president. But he's not the president. Politics doesn't work the way in a simple black and white 2 + 2 = 4. That's not how politics work. Things just happen sometimes. Trump is so assured of re-election. Then there's a boot on somebody's neck.
And things change.
Then the corona happens. And everybody says he's not doing enough. And when they take over, they can't even do half of what he has done. But he's home. Biden is the president. So politics is not very predictable.
Well, there couldn't be a better point to close shop on today's edition of Siasa Brigade, other than that from Herman Manyora talking matters the political future of Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna Watenya. This far, many have actually believed that the stars are aligned for him. We are waiting to see just how long are they going to remain the same. Until next time on Siasa Brigade, my name is Richard Mwenje. Such a pleasure to have you on board.